Hi everyone, here is Andrew from PixelSync. If you have ever experienced a Meta ad account restriction or suspension, you probably know this feeling. Even after you finally get access to an agency ad account, you are still not completely comfortable. You start asking questions. Is this account really safe? Should I use my own page or my client's page? Who actually owns the ad account? And what happens if something gets restricted again? Because after being burned by meta restrictions before, most advertisers become more careful. But the problem is, many advertisers are still unclear about how the whole advertising infrastructure should actually be set up. So today, instead of just talking about theory, I want to walk you through several real client onboarding cases and figure out how we build a more stable meta ads infrastructure in 2026. The first case was a fintech client who wanted to run meta ads for their platform. During onboarding, they had one major question. Can I run ads for this company, but keep the ad account under my own control? This is actually one of the most common misunderstandings we see. Many advertisers think the Facebook page owns the ad account, or if I use someone else's page, they can see my advertising account. But Meta's asset structure doesn't work like that. The correct structure is like this. The page is simply the identity that appears when you run ads. The business manager controls ownership and access. The ad account belongs to the business manager. In this client's case, they wanted to use their customer's Facebook page for advertising, but they did not want their customer to access their advertising infrastructure. So we explained. The page can be used for advertising, but the ad account can still be assigned to their own business manager. The final structure looked like this. This gives them control of the advertising account, ownership of their data, and separation from their customers' assets. One important lesson here. Before you launch campaigns, you need to understand your asset structure. A lot of advertisers build campaigns first and think about ownership later. That creates problems when they need to scale. The second case was an agency client managing multiple advertising campaigns. They had an interesting concern. They asked, "This business manager is very new. If we put large budgets into it, won't it get restricted?" This is actually a very good question. Many advertisers believe new BM equals dangerous, old BM equals safe. But the reality is more complicated. Meta doesn't only evaluate one single asset. It looks at the whole ecosystem: account history, asset relationships, user behavior, payment signals, campaign quality, policy compliance. For example, a brand new BM with new profile, new payment method, aggressive spending, risky creatives will naturally create more risk. But a properly structured environment with good history and compliant campaigns is completely different. One thing we usually recommend is risk isolation. Instead of putting everything into one BM, you create a safe BM and a runner BM, because advertising is a business operation. You don't want one problem to stop your entire business. I also want to clarify something. Sometimes people think agency ad accounts mean no restrictions. That's not true. Agency infrastructure can provide higher trust score, stronger account foundation, better operational stability, higher scaling capability. But it does not bypass meta policies. If your product violates policies, or your creatives create user complaints, no account type can completely remove that risk. The account is only part of the equation. Your entire advertising system matters. If you are building a scalable meta ads operation, focus on infrastructure first, because scaling starts before you launch your first campaign. At PixelSync, we don't just provide agency ad accounts. We also help advertisers build a more stable advertising setup with our onboarding support, operational guidance, and years of experience working with meta advertising infrastructure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.